You were told to go to school, get good grades, find a stable job, save a portion of your income, and invest in a diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. They said it was the path to financial freedom. But what if I told you that very advice is what's keeping you broke? What if the rules you were taught were designed not to make you rich, but to keep you obedient? Robert Kiyosaki once said, "The poor and middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them." So, why are millions of hardworking people still living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt, and struggling to retire? Because they followed the rules, the wrong rules. Let me tell you a hard truth. Traditional money advice, the kind you hear from your teachers, your parents, even your financial advisor, was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you predictable. Think about it. They tell you to save money, in a system where money is constantly being printed and losing value. They tell you to avoid debt, while the rich are using debt to build empires. They tell you to work hard, but never teach you how to make your money work harder than you ever could. This isn't just outdated thinking. It's financial hypnosis. It's the same advice that worked in the 1950s, but fails miserably in today's economy. And the longer you follow it, the further you fall behind. In this video, we're going to expose the lie of traditional money advice. We'll break down the real reasons why saving money keeps you poor, why debt is actually your most powerful weapon, and how the rich play an entirely different game, one you were never taught in school. If you're ready to wake up, if you're tired of trading time for money only to end up taxed, tired, and trapped, then keep watching, because once you understand the real rules of money, you'll never play their game again. Save your money, they said. It's the safe thing to do. But if saving money made people rich, wouldn't banks be broke? The truth is, they've lied to you. Not maliciously, just blindly. They passed down advice that worked in a world that no longer exists. Once upon a time, saving made sense. When money was backed by gold, when interest rates paid you 10%, and when inflation wasn't silently eroding your wealth. But that world ended in 1971, when President Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard. From that moment on, money became fake. Today's dollars, euros, pesos, it's all fiat. Meaning, it's not backed by anything real. Governments can print as much of it as they want. And when they do, the value of the money sitting in your bank account shrinks. Every time they fire up the printing press, your savings become worth less, and eventually worthless. And it gets worse. The entire system is built to profit from your savings, not for them. When you put $1 into a bank, they don't just keep it safe for you. Under the fractional reserve system, they're allowed to lend out $10 for every one you deposit. They multiply your money and collect interest on it while paying you back pennies. Maybe 1% if you're lucky. Meanwhile, inflation quietly steals 7, 8, even 10% of your buying power every year. So let me ask you this. If your money is losing value, the bank is lending it out 10 times over, and you're being taxed on the pitiful interest you do earn. Who's really winning? The banks, the system, the ones who told you that saving is smart. They want you to save because it gives them the power to lend, profit, and grow, while you stay stuck, working harder just to afford the same loaf of bread. Saving doesn't make you rich. It keeps you poor. That's not security. That's a trap. They told you if you just work hard enough, you'll make it. Get a good job, climb the ladder, show up early, stay late. But have you ever noticed? The people working the hardest are often the ones struggling the most. Here's the truth. The poor and middle class work for money. The rich don't. That's not just a catchy quote. It's a fundamental shift in how wealth is created. Because working harder doesn't make you richer. It just makes you tired. Most people spend their entire lives in the same cycle. Wake up, go to work, get paid, pay bills. Repeat. It's called the rat race for a reason. No matter how fast you run, you're still inside the wheel. The moment you stop working, the money stops too. That's earned income. Money you trade time for, and it's the most heavily taxed, most fragile, and most limited form of income there is. Now compare that to passive income, money that flows to you whether you're working or not. Rental income, royalties, dividends, business systems. Or portfolio income, profits from investments like stocks, real estate, or businesses. The rich spend their time building systems that make money without their constant effort. They buy back their time while the rest of the world sells it. Your job might be secure today, but one recession, one layoff, one accident, and your entire income disappears. That's financial quicksand. It looks stable, right until it swallows you whole. The system was never designed to set you free. It was designed to keep you productive, obedient, and replaceable. That's why they never taught you about cash flow in school. That's why you were trained to be an employee, not an owner. If hard work alone made people rich, construction workers would be millionaires and billionaires would still be clocking in. But the wealthy understood something different. They stopped working for money and learned how to make money work for them. And until you do the same, you'll be running in place, calling it progress. You went to school, you got the grades, you followed the rules, and now you're drowning in debt, working a job you don't love, wondering why no one ever taught you how money actually works. That's not an accident. That's by design. Schools don't teach you to be rich. They teach you to be obedient. From the very first day, you're trained to sit in neat rows, memorize facts, follow instructions, raise your hand for permission. You're rewarded for compliance, not creativity. Graded on how well you repeat, not how well you think. This system wasn't built to create leaders. It was built during the industrial age to produce workers. Factory-ready minds for factory-style jobs. They never taught you about assets, liabilities, cash flow, or taxes. They taught you algebra, but not how interest eats your savings alive. They made you study Shakespeare, but never showed you how to build a business or buy your first investment property. Why? Because schools are run by employees who were trained to think like employees, and they pass that thinking down like a virus. Robert Kiyosaki knew this. While his teachers taught him to get a job and save money, his rich dad, a savvy entrepreneur, taught him something far more powerful, not in a classroom, but over a game of Monopoly. 4 green houses, 1 red hotel. That simple rule turned into a real-world strategy that made Kiyosaki a multimillionaire. Because Monopoly wasn't just a game, it was financial education disguised as play. The truth is, most people graduate with degrees and no clue how to manage money. They step into the world trained to work for someone else, pay taxes, and save just enough to survive. Then they wonder why they're stuck. If school made people wealthy, every valedictorian would be a millionaire. But the real world doesn't reward straight A's. It rewards financial intelligence. And that's something you'll never find in a textbook. Until you unlearn what school taught you about money, you'll keep following a system that was never built to set you free. They taught you that debt is dangerous, that it's something to fear, avoid, escape. But the rich, they love debt, because they understand something you were never taught. Debt is only bad when you don't know how to use it. You've been conditioned to see debt as a trap, and for most people, it is. Credit card balances, car loans, financing things that lose value. This kind of consumer debt keeps the poor and middle class chained to monthly payments and rising interest. But not all debt is created equal. The wealthy don't use debt to buy liabilities. They use it to buy assets. Robert Kiyosaki didn't get rich by saving. He got rich by borrowing. After the 2008 crash, when the economy was in chaos and most people were panicking, Kiyosaki borrowed $300 million. Not to spend, but to invest. He bought real estate, prime properties, cash-flowing assets. And he locked them in while interest rates were at historic lows. As the market recovered, those properties soared in value. And the debt? It stayed cheap, strategic, tax-advantaged. That's the difference. Poor people fear debt. Rich people master it. They understand that the government actually rewards certain kinds of debt. Real estate investors, for example, get tax breaks through depreciation and interest deductions. They can borrow money, use it to generate cash flow, and pay little to no tax in the process. That's not a loophole. That's the law. Meanwhile, the average person is still proudly debt-free, working 40 hours a week, saving cash that's losing value to inflation, and paying taxes on every dollar they earn. Here's the truth. The rich don't use their own money. They borrow, invest, and multiply it. They understand that debt is a tool, like fire. It can burn you if you're careless, but if you know how to use it, it can warm your house, cook your food, and build your empire. If you're still afraid of debt, you're playing defense in a game where the rich are on offense. And until you learn the difference, you'll never win. If you don't know the difference between an asset and a liability, you will never be free. That sounds harsh, but it's the truth. It's also the lesson no one bothered to teach you, not in school, not at home, not in the endless advice from people who mean well, but are just as trapped as you are. Here's what they told you. Buy a house, get a nice car, upgrade your phone, treat yourself. You deserve it. And you do. But those things won't make you rich. In fact, they'll do the opposite. Robert Kiyosaki made it simple. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what you call it. If it drains your cash, it's not building wealth, it's stealing it. Most people buy liabilities and call them assets. They say, "My house is my biggest asset." Really? Is it putting money in your pocket every month? Or are you paying for the mortgage, the taxes, the repairs, and the insurance? That's not wealth. That's weight. Meanwhile, the rich are collecting rental income from properties they don't live in, earning royalties from products they created once, and owning businesses that generate cash while they sleep. Those are assets. They don't just grow in value, they cash flow, and it's not about how much you make. It's about what you do with what you make. A middle-class salary spent on iPhones, car payments, and treats leads to a life of endless work. But that same money, if directed toward cash-flowing assets, can buy back your time and set you free. The poor and middle class chase comfort and status. The rich chase cash flow. And the dividing line is this one idea: assets versus liabilities. Once you understand that, you'll stop buying things that look rich and start building things that make you rich. Because freedom isn't found in what you own. It's found in what pays you. Most people think taxes are just a fact of life. You work, you pay, you repeat. But what if I told you the tax code wasn't designed to punish you? It was designed to reward people who play the game correctly. Here's the hard truth. Employees pay the highest taxes. You work for a paycheck, and before you even see your money, the government takes its cut. Federal tax, state tax, Social Security, Medicare, it's all gone before you get the chance to decide what to do with it. That's earned income, and it's taxed at the highest possible rate. Now, compare that to how the rich operate. They don't rely on a paycheck. They create businesses. They invest in assets. They use strategic debt. And they know how to move through the tax code like a chessboard, while most people don't even know they're in a game. Depreciation, amortization, capital gains, real estate losses, charitable donations. These aren't loopholes. They're incentives, baked right into the system to reward behavior that benefits the economy. When you provide housing, start businesses, hire employees, or donate to charity, the government gives you tax advantages, not because they like you, but because you're doing what they want done. Robert Kiyosaki has said it plainly. He made millions, but paid little to nothing in taxes. Not because he cheated, but because he understood the rules. Meanwhile, the employee who works 60 hours a week, saves diligently, and does everything right ends up paying 30 to 40% of their income in taxes. Why? Because they're not rewarded for effort. They're taxed for working, not for creating value. The tax system isn't broken. It's just not designed for workers. It's designed for creators, builders, investors, people who understand money. If you want to keep more of what you earn, stop thinking like an employee. Start thinking like the rich. Because until you change your position on the board, you'll always be a pawn. And pawns pay full price. You think your 401k is safe, but it's not a safety net. It's a trap. They sold it to you as the smart way to retire. Contribute a little each month, let it grow, and one day you'll be free. But no one tells you who really benefits from your 401k, and it's not you. The truth is, 401ks weren't designed to make you rich. They were designed to feed Wall Street. After the government phased out pensions in the 1970s, they needed a way to shift the burden of retirement from employers to employees. That's when the 401k was born. And ever since, they've trained you to pour your money into it, month after month, without asking questions. But here's the problem. You're investing in things you don't control. You don't choose the companies. You don't manage the funds. You probably don't even understand what you're invested in. And while you're hoping for a 7% return, your account is quietly bleeding from management fees, inflation, and market volatility. You're betting your future on a casino you don't even walk into, and you think that's smart? Robert Kiyosaki has warned about this for decades. While most people think they're investing for the long term, what they're really doing is handing their future to a system that profits whether you win or lose. Wall Street gets paid no matter what. You don't. And then there's inflation. The money you're putting into your 401k today will be worth less when you need it most. That nest egg you're building, it's being eaten from the inside out. Most Americans won't retire wealthy. They'll retire scared, because they trusted a system designed to keep them dependent. The rich don't park their future in mutual funds. They buy assets that produce cash flow now. They invest in things they can control, and they don't wait until they're 65 to enjoy life. Your retirement shouldn't be built on hope. It should be built on knowledge, control, and cash flow. So before you celebrate your employer match, ask yourself, who's really winning here? Because if you're the last to get paid, you're not the investor. You're the product. The rich don't use money. They use knowledge. Because once you understand how money works, you realize you don't need it to create wealth. What you need is leverage, strategy, creativity, and one powerful concept: the infinite return. An infinite return is when you make money without using any of your own. $0 invested. Pure profit. And the wealthy have been doing it for centuries, while most people still think they need to save up before they can start building wealth. Robert Kiyosaki lives by this principle. He's built real estate portfolios, licensing deals, and businesses using OPM, other people's money. And you can too, not by being rich, but by being resourceful. Think about it. You can create a book from nothing but your own ideas. Write it once, license it globally, and collect royalties for years. You don't need capital, you need knowledge. You can build a digital course, a YouTube channel, a newsletter, or a mobile app. These are assets that generate income without physical inventory, without employees, and sometimes without ever spending a dime up front. Partnerships? Same thing. You bring the vision, someone else brings the funding. You split the cash flow. Infinite return. No personal money in the deal, just value creation. This is how the wealthy operate. They don't work harder. They think differently. While the average person says, "I can't afford it," the rich ask, "How can I do it with no money down?" The poor wait until they have enough saved. The rich build assets first and let the assets pay for everything else. This is why a person with no money but the right mindset can outpace a high earner who's stuck in the save and spend cycle. The game isn't about saving pennies, it's about creating streams. Because the moment you stop needing your own money to grow, you become unstoppable. That's not theory. That's the formula for freedom. And it starts when you stop thinking like a consumer and start acting like a creator. Escaping the rat race doesn't start with more money. It starts with a different mindset. Because as long as you think like everyone else, work hard, pay bills, save what's left, you'll stay trapped like everyone else. The system is built to keep you running in circles. It rewards obedience, not independence. But the moment you change how you think about money, you change what's possible. The first step is to pay yourself first. Before the rent, the groceries, the credit card bill, set aside a portion of your income. Treat it like a non-negotiable expense. That money isn't for spending. It's for building, for funding your escape. Next, you invest. Not in what's popular, but in what pays you. Cash-flowing assets are your way out. Rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, digital products, small businesses, anything that puts money in your pocket every month without requiring your daily effort. The goal isn't a big payoff someday. The goal is income that frees you today. Then, learn to use good debt. Not the kind that buries you in interest, but the kind that buys freedom. Borrow money to acquire assets. Let someone else's money generate returns for you. That's how the rich scale. That's how you multiply. Debt isn't your enemy. It's a weapon, if you know how to use it. Don't try to do it all alone. Build a team. Accountants, lawyers, advisors, partners. Every great business and every serious investor has a circle of people who see what they don't. Going solo might feel noble, but it's slow. Wealth is a team sport. And finally, stop consuming. Start creating. Don't just watch content. Make it. Don't just buy brands. Build one. Every time you create something valuable, you take a step toward independence. Every time you consume without producing, you hand your power to someone else. This isn't a fantasy, it's a formula. But it only works if you stop running the same loop and start playing a different game. The rat race ends when you stop chasing paychecks and start building pipelines. And the exit? It's been right in front of you the whole time. The revolution has already started. And if you're still following old advice, you're already behind. The world of money is changing faster than most people can comprehend. Central banks are developing digital currencies. Governments are tracking every transaction. Inflation is silently robbing you day by day. And artificial intelligence is replacing jobs, entire industries, without warning or mercy. Still think saving and playing it safe is the answer? Still think a college degree and a 401k will protect you? That's the mindset of a past that no longer exists. The rules you were taught were made for a world that's gone, and the longer you cling to them, the more vulnerable you become. We're entering a time where financial education is no longer optional. It's survival. If you don't understand money, how it's created, how it's taxed, how it flows, you'll be at the mercy of those who do. The gap between rich and poor isn't just about income anymore, it's about information. Those who learn will lead. Those who wait will be left behind. This isn't about doom and gloom, this is about power. Because in every revolution, there's a window of opportunity for those who are prepared. The systems are being rewritten, the barriers are falling. Technology is giving you access to tools that were once reserved for the elite. You can start a business from your phone, create cash flow from your ideas, build wealth from nothing but knowledge and execution. But you have to let go of the old advice. You have to stop waiting for permission. Stop asking if it's the right time. It's already happening. Robert Kiyosaki said it best. You don't need money to make money, you need education. And I'll add this. You don't need permission to be rich, but you do need a new set of rules. This is your wake-up call. The game has changed. And the only question left is, are you ready to play it differently? If this message hit you hard, good, it was meant to. Because the world isn't waiting. The system isn't going to knock on your door and tell you it's time to wake up. It's been draining you for years, your time, your energy, your freedom. And now you know why. You were never taught the truth. You were trained to follow the rules. But the rules were written to keep you working, not winning. Now you have a choice. You can go back to scrolling, to saving, to hoping the stock market saves you. Or you can take what you've learned and build something different, something that actually sets you free. Start with one step. Educate yourself. Pay yourself first. Build assets, not liabilities. Use debt, don't fear it. And most importantly, stop thinking like an employee and start acting like an investor, a creator, a strategist. You don't need to be rich to get started. But if you never start, you'll never get rich. The wealthy aren't better than you, they're just playing a different game. And now, so can you. If this message gave you clarity, courage, or even just made you uncomfortable, like the video, share it, subscribe. Because what you just heard won't be taught in school, but it will change your life. This isn't just about money, it's about freedom. And it starts right here, right now, with you.